I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited about this debate that's going to be happening later today. But I'm also very interested as to what we're going to be doing for those 90 minutes. Obviously, I'm not going to be streaming it or anything like that. Tomorrow, okay, on Friday, you're going to be seeing, the first video that comes out. I think I have it scheduled for the first video that'll come out. That's where I'm going to put it. Okay, first video on Friday is going to be the recap, the fallout, and all of that stuff right there. All of the memes that are coming out of it, because let's be completely honest, does anybody think that this is going to be a serious policy debate? We already know where both candidates stand, or in Joe Biden's case, sleep in a sarcophagus for 16 hours a day. This is mostly just going to be, Trump making some memes, Biden mumbling his way through this stuff, and Jake Tapper and Dana Bash running one of the most aggressive counteroffensives for the Democrat Party that we are likely to have ever seen on a debate stage. It's going to be a dumpster fire. It is going to be a train wreck, but in most of those situations, don't you just kind of want to peer over and take a look at it? So yes, let's get at least some of the particulars out of the way before we get into a little bit more analysis, shall we? A historic showdown between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump is set for Thursday on CNN when the presumptive major party nominees meet for their first debate this election cycle. Yet again, it's very strange because the next time they're scheduled, I think it's on ABC. Regardless, whatever big hollow network, they're just going to follow this exact same structure. I would imagine, depending on how well it makes Biden look or whoever's going to ultimately replace him. Because I've said this before and other people have echoed the similar sentiments. If Biden comes out and he looks excessively bad, okay, if he's stumbling over his words, can't form a coherent sentence, if he's somebody that the DNC and the powers that be can't just push across the finish line in November, this is the time to replace him. That's something that we'll have to dig in a little bit deeper on Friday, because as of right now, Biden's been at Camp David. That's not a meme. That's not a joke. He's been on for the past week to debate prep or to get his sleep cycle in proper form and figure out exactly what he needs to stay coherent for 90 minutes. Because when was the last time the dude, we've had States of the Union addresses, right? We've had his big addresses. Hell, even the odd press conference over the past 3 years and change. What's the longest one? Which one has run the longest? I think we had a State of the Union that went, did it go 60 minutes or are we at the 45-minute mark? And this is supposed to be for 90 full minutes. 90 full minutes. That's a lot for Joe. Trump, meanwhile, he's been out on the campaign trail for what seems to be half of my life at this point. He hasn't missed a beat, honestly. But yeah, the next time that they convene to do this, Trump should theoretically have the RNC nominee, unless they decide to do something completely borked or somebody takes something or matters into their own hands. God damn it, man, I don't want to do that. That's for sure. Or if Biden just gets replaced before the DNC. If he just looks too goddamn decrepit, this would be the opportune time to rug him. But the debate will be the earliest such event in U.S. history. Televised presidential debates between general election candidates have always started in September or early October. Yeah, exactly. Going back to the first one between JFK and Richard Nixon in 1960, right? The first televised presidential debate, and that's the one that secured JFK. He won a debate on television, and there was no stopping him after that. Well, you just need to take a look at how the election of 1960 was conducted. If anything funny was happening in Illinois, Hawaii, don't need to look any further than that. And also, there was a ton of astroturfing going on during that time as well, especially in the aftermath. That if you run back that debate, Richard Nixon isn't this sweaty mess the way that the media wants to point him out and paint him as, okay? Or if you just simply listen to the broadcast, like many people at the time would have consumed that debate, Richard Nixon won on every single policy decision. No, JFK, he looked the part and he performed the part on TV, and that's all that matters, right? Unbelievable. I did a breakdown of that. That video is still over on Rumble. It got taken down in the aftermath of the 2020 election because I had the audacity to compare and contrast different things that were going down during the 1960 election and the 2020 election. Gee, I wonder what was similar there. But anyways, when and where will this debate be taking place? Yes, 90-minute debate will take place Thursday, June 27th, 9 p.m. Eastern at the network's Atlanta studios. Yes, on an empty soundstage with 2 podiums and a nice CNN banner in the background. Who's moderating? We already know, two of the biggest Democrat operatives, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. How can you watch it? I know a lot of people are going to be streaming it, but you'd be able to sign up for CNN Plus. Does anybody remember that disaster? No. There's different ways that you can go about it. So what were the qualifications? Yeah, this one's kind of interesting, right? Because there's a couple of other third-party candidates. No, I'm not talking about you, stupid Chase Oliver. So funny, right? Like, the guy's biggest moment of fame was the moment that everybody realized that the Libertarian Party is always going to be the Libertarian Party, and nobody's heard from him since. But Biden and Trump will be the only presidential candidates participating in the debate. In order to qualify, candidates had to satisfy the requirements outlined in Article 2, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution to serve as president, as well as file formal statement of candidacy with the FEC. According to the parameters set by CNN in May. So why did you outline any of that other stuff? Okay, yeah. In order to qualify for the debate, you need to adhere to the rules laid out by Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution. But meanwhile, CNN has its own standards that they're going to enforce. Okay. All participating debaters had to appear on a sufficient number of states' ballots to reach 270 electoral votes, threshold to win presidency, and receive at least 15% in 4 separate national polls to register with likely voters that meet CNN standards for reporting. That meet CNN standards for reporting, but we've seen what you guys report on, so I wouldn't necessarily say that you guys have high standards. Polls that meet those standards are CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox News, Marquette University, Monmouth, Quinnipiac, NBC, NPR, blah, blah, blah. All of the same irregular crap polls that are out there. Some of them good, some of them bad. But yeah, 15% for any third-party candidate. Like, I think Ross Perot was literally the last guy to even register anywhere close to that. Biden and Trump were the only candidates to meet those requirements. There was some, of course, rumbling that RFK, Shaggy Voice, would end up being on some debate stage. But, oh boy, that guy's political collapse, that requires its own video dissection, perhaps at a later date, if I care about him anymore. What a disappointment he was. But anyways, so what are the rules for the debate? It's kind of interesting, right? Because we don't know the topics that they're going to be discussing, because if you're going to be doing a debate, you should have clear outline structure, which we at least have some of, care of CNN, and that, ABC, I guess it is ABC, September 10th, one tragedy before the anniversary of another, are more than likely going to be following up with, but the debate will include 2 commercial breaks, according to the network. Campaign staff not interact with the candidates during that time. Candidates agreed to appear at a uniform podium. Microphones will be muted throughout the debate, except when the candidate whose turn it is to speak. And no props, pre-written notes will be allowed on the stage. Candidates will be given a pen, pad of paper, bottle of water. The event will not feature a studio audience. They're really setting this up to be a very anti-Trump event. Like, let's be completely honest, right? Like, there's a reason that there's no studio audience, because every time that Trump got up on the debate stage, some of his most legendary campaign moments happened with people in the audience reacting to what Trump was saying, doing, and gesticulating. One of those things he can still get away with, okay? Because CNN, in their infinite wisdom, put out a little screener video, okay, showing how they're going to be presenting this debate, the podiums that are going to be on display, the stage that everybody's going to be on. It's very nice. It's very fancy. And, well, let's just go ahead and listen to this. Thankfully, it's not exactly the highest of quality, but there is subtitles, okay? So we can go ahead and take a look at this.
If we go behind the podiums, you can see 2 green lights.
Breaking, just absolutely cutting-edge technology by CNN right there. 2 green lights.
When they're on, they signal to the candidate his microphone is on.
Okay.
When the green lights are off, they signal to the candidate his microphone is off.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, which is something that, I don't know, man, like, how far into the periphery is anybody going to be able to actually see this, okay? Especially with Trump, he's just leading and he's talking and he's moving all the time, all of his hand gestures. And are we also, especially with this cutting-edge technology that CNN has, there's going to be a point in time where, oopsie daisy, one of the microphones was off, but the light was on. And I don't know, we all know that Trump does like to engage in hyperbole every once in a while. I know, right? Is there going to come a point in time where he's going to claim my microphone, excuse me, my microphone was off, nobody could hear me. Okay, listen, this is rigged. It's been rigged the entire time. My microphone, I can't believe it. The lights were green, but then it was off, and nobody could hear me at all. But I don't know, he's probably also not going to have to engage in that stuff because, well, he's debating an actual corpse.
Now I want to give you a sense of what it will look like for viewers at home if a candidate whose microphone is off interrupts a candidate whose microphone is on.
Gee, I wonder who they could be talking about if a candidate interrupts somebody whose microphone is on. I wonder who.
Standing at one podium, and I'll ask Phil to come in and take the other podium.
Hello,
and
Phil.
so let's say I'm answering a question. My light is green, and I'm speaking. Phil's microphone is off, and his green lights are not illuminated. He's going to interrupt me as I'm speaking, and this is what it will sound like. My volume remains constant, while Phil's interruption can be difficult to understand.
Why does Phil talk out of one side of his mouth? Anyways.
Now, let's try the opposite. My microphone is now on. Victor's microphone is off, and he's going to interrupt me.
Well, that's racism. Playing into stereotype, CNN, okay?
My volume remains constant, while Victor's interruption can be difficult to understand.
Yes, as you can see, and CNN, as it is pointed out, they are the goofs that are going to be controlling the microphones being on or off, okay? High-tech microphones, yes, have green lights, which will tell Biden and Trump whether their mic is on or not. The lights is off. The candidate tries to talk. The sound of their voice won't make it to the viewers watching at home. This is hilarious and pathetic at the same time. Exactly, Colin. You nailed it for what it is, but also, if Trump is, okay, like if he gets cut off, if he's mid-stride, he's making a good point, and CNN goes, actually, your time's up, and then just clicks off his microphone, he's still going to be on the screen, and he's very well known, you know, for his hand gestures, for his moving in and out, for his very expressive face. Like, this is still, even with an attempt to silence Trump, they're playing directly into his hand. There's a reason that the guy was memed into oblivion in 2016, okay? You still got the ones where, you know, you got the meme where he's got no nose and it's just, you know, his compressed face where it's just, wide eyes, wide mouth, you know, just going back and forth, yapping. The proto-Pepe gif, and it's like you're setting him up perfectly for that stuff with a guy who's definitely not going to be able to combat that simple memeability. You're really trying to make this 2016 all over again. And even in the run-up to this goofy-ass debate, like, we don't know debate topics, we know very crude guidelines as to what's going to end up being followed here, but I'm asking for a drug test leading up to the debate, and it's like, come on, man, this is great, but the Biden campaign dismisses call for drug test pre-debate as polls show most Americans support it. Yeah, and the strange thing about these polls, I don't really know how much they're going to shift in the aftermath of this, because let's be completely honest, like I said at the outset, there's not going to be much policy being discussed here. There's not going to be very many minds changed because of people that are still riding for Biden even after this disastrous 2024. Like the past, I would say, disastrous couple of weeks, because he's really fallen off recently. Like it's always been bad, but now it's just kind of hyper-focused as to how much he's deteriorated. I don't know, maybe a couple of other people roll off bandwagon, but nobody's coming into this undecided and going, gee, that geriatric, that 80-plus-year-old man, he's really selling me with these post-it note answers, these very complex issues. And over the past 4 years, my life has 100% improved during his tenure as the president, so he definitely deserves a second term. There's not a single individual like that out there. There's going to be the CNN viewers who are going to tune into this stuff that are already voting blue, no matter who, but we're kind of seeing that base in and of itself, well, even it's getting whittled away, because now we can take a look at the polls, and well, Florida used to be, you know, one of the big swing states, and I guess you have Florida's 20-some-odd electoral votes being replaced by Arizona's goofy ass. If they could just get to the bottom of their own election problems, well, I wouldn't think that would be a swing state anymore, but looking at this, Biden campaign chair surrenders Florida's 30 electoral votes to Trump. Oh, it's 30 now. Right. It ended up after the census getting reconfigured anyways. But yeah, Joe Biden's campaign chairwoman, Jen O'Malley Dillon, has already conceded Florida's 30 electoral votes to former President Donald Trump. During a podcast interview with the far left puck, O'Malley Dillon was asked if the campaign considers Florida a legitimate battleground state his fraudulency would contest in the coming months. Her answer was a flat no. Well, yeah, like, what was it? All but 2 counties Ron DeSantis won in 2022, and that was all set up by Trump's historic landmark victory in 2020 of Florida, and him also flipping the state Republican for the first time since W in 2016. Like, it's one of those places that has progressively, and I use that in the best sense of the term, progressively become more conservative. And now we're starting to see those Floridian sentiments go around the rest of the country, okay? Because there are currently primaries going on right now, and then there's some pollsters looking ahead past that. You even got Nate Silver over at 438 saying that, yeah, Trump is a heavy favorite to beat Biden in November, not a toss-up. And that's kind of why this election season so far, prior to the debate, obviously things could end up changing and things could ultimately end up getting wacky. 2024 has been quite lackadaisical. Like what? Okay, Trump got convicted of a felony. Don't know, or I guess 34 of them, and he's still got other trials that are coming up. But does anybody think that those are going to stick? Is anybody paying attention to the Supreme Court also extending their session for the first time in a long time into early July, wondering, given the fact that they have several Trump-related cases right there on their desk? Like, we already know that New York trial, both of them, okay, the civil and the criminal trial, those were shams at best and unconstitutional at worst. And yeah, the Supreme Court is going to have to ultimately decide on that. So that's going to be a non-factor. And in fact, you take a look at the polls in the aftermath of those convictions, who ended up going up and who continued to stay at record lows. Exactly, man. Democrat Party doesn't have the base that they used to, or maybe they just got so brazen. They got so brazen in thinking that they could go ahead and run anybody because Orange Man's really bad and the media will go ahead and set anybody up against him. Well, we're starting to figure out that if you're too much of a radical, that's not going to end up playing out well for you in 2024. Another squad member in trouble. Cori Bush's primary opponent ahead in the poll. Yeah, Cori Bush, probably the most insufferable member of the quote-unquote squad, which has become, at least at this point in time, one member fewer, and is looking to lose another one in the form of Cory Bush. Poll conducted by Democrat pollster Mark Mellum's group and published by Politico showed that Wesley Bell, that is, has overcome a double-digit deficit to pull ahead of Bush. Bell, St. Louis County's prosecuting attorney, is 1 percentage point ahead of Bush, but analysis by the group said Bell's image is improving while Bush is moving in the negative direction, leaving him with an underlying image advantage. Very interesting. But he's a Dem prosecutor, okay? He's on the government teat. I don't really think that that's much of a policy improvement, just when it comes to, public image. Probably an improvement, okay? You might have seen, steely-eyed observers would have also noticed that Jamal Bowman, okay, made reference to him a little bit earlier. He not just lost his primary, oh boy, he was obliterated, double-digit dicking. Hands of a white man. That's just really embarrassing there, Jamal. Somebody else who's got a kind of a trepidatious grasp on their own seat, but not on the theater date's seat, Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert won primary, but I thought she was going to be gone. I thought everybody detested her. No, there's still simps within, the old TradCon movement, so I didn't anticipate her really going anywhere. But Jamal Bowman getting dicked down like that, that's impressive. Must be some sort of a larger takeaway in the fact that Representative Lauren Boebert, among the most MAGA members of Congress, won a Republican primary in Colorado on Tuesday night. Representative Bowman, a member of the progressive squad from the Bronx of all places, lost the Democratic primary to a more moderate candidate from Westchester County in New York. Every House race is different, obviously, since all politics is local. Is it really? Okay, even with somebody who has such a high profile at a national level as Jamal Bowman, lost this primary by a lot. CNN posits the question, is it more MAGA or moderate? Well, here's what I'm hoping, man, because you get these fringe ideologues that are getting picked off on the Democrat side, and the more MAGA candidates, which if you take a look at their actual political everyday machinations, they aren't really MAGA at all, okay? They're just there for the limelight. Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they all spend more time on social media than they do actually making substantive policy changes. That's what they all do, man. I've seen the small but vocal contingent that, Jamal Bowman, he's so much better than his AIPAC-backed opponent. It's like, guys, okay, listen, okay, I'm on your side when it comes to that stuff. Israel meddling in elections has gone way too far, and they've been doing it for way too long. But you gotta pick a better avatar, okay, than just some idiot that probably figured out that the I in AIPAC stood for Israel literally yesterday. He's a dope. He's a moron. And that's one of those things, man. What's the old saying? Nothing does a greater disservice to your cause than a moron taking up the call. That's what you have with Jamal Bowman. He was the idiot who pulled a fire alarm in order to stop Congress, okay? If you think that's the best person who's literally going to drop that talking point, and the only people that are going to pick it up are the people that intrinsically hate him. Just going back to this Breitbart article here for a second. Like Bowman, Bush has called for a ceasefire of the war between Israel and Hamas and has called for the U.S. aid to Israel to be conditional, which has upset some pro-Israel Democrat voters. Meanwhile, pro-Israel advocacy group AIPAC has endorsed Bell. And yeah, you know who else supports Bell? People that are tired of these grandstanding politicians making everything about them. Cori Bush made the ludicrous assertion that her touch cured a homeless man's cancer not that long ago. These people are fucking dim. And if you think that you want to use them, you think that they're the most appropriate weapons to fight back against the overwhelming influence of AIPAC, get off the fucking internet for a couple of days. Jesus Christ, people. The Jews aren't coming to fucking kick down your door and steal and do nefarious things to your dogs. Christ almighty, it's also fucking tiresome. Yeah, there's a real problem, but if your solution involves the squad, I don't know what to tell you. You're too far on down the rabbit hole and, I don't know, have fun in the fucking parking lot wherever America First holds their next fucking PAC meeting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the debate. It's going to be fun to recap, and I'm looking forward to this election, even though it's, you know, two sides of the same coin. But for fuck's sakes, all you black pill, six-sided star doomers, get out from your little, you know, tiny hatted hole and take a look around and, you know, maybe realize there's some shit that you can be doing on a daily basis that'll overall improve your life. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.